thank you very much for joining us. I know you've got lots to say on gold. What are your thoughts on gold's movement, and how much gold do you think investors, Jaime, should have in their portfolios right now?
Two good questions. Thank you for having me back, and may we live in interesting times, so they say. First of all, as an asset allocation, which is the right question, I've just recently raised my minimum gold holding to 30% from the 25% that we had it at. That was the week that the prices fell out of bed, and we reloaded, increased our allocation. Now, from an asset allocation perspective, if you follow the last time I was on, I was already at 30% cash, and we raised cash again when the volatility started. But as far as the precious metals, we're definitely holding and increasing that allocation, because it's important to point out that gold itself is doing what it has done for 4,000 years, which is rise right along with systemic risk. As risk has been increasing, the price of gold has been increasing. By extension, I would like to point out that the earnings of the companies that I own, the producers, have been increasing, even though their share price has not. Now, this is a great opportunity for those that are not at 30%, because I think that everybody right now, the majority of Canadian and North American investors, are at almost zero allocation in gold, and it's a pretty good time to start adding. Now, I sent over a couple of charts that I hope we will be able to show them.
Yeah, we're showing it right now. It's how gold is performing versus the Dow. So what we've got on our screen right now, Jaime, is gold, the Dow, and what have we got there?
And the HUI, right. The HUI, the Precious Metals Index. Now, first of all, it's important to point out that this chart goes back to the beginning of October 2018, when the Fed was still rising rates, but then they lost control of them when we have the big decline into January of 2019, and that's when they start lowering rates. To me, that was the inflection point, because we have to understand that we have a number of storms here. The COVID-19 issue is a healthcare emergency, global emergency. Never thought we were going to see this, but prior to that, we were already entering a financial mess, because being shown by what was happening in the repo market and the fact that the Fed was already starting to print money, right? So to me, this is important, because back to October 2018, gold was already outperforming the Dow, and it was already starting to behave as a safe haven asset. Now, when the market fell out of bed at the beginning of February, the gold stocks followed down, but gold never broke down, which is important because the earnings of the companies are backed by gold. Gold in Canadian dollar right now is hovering around 3,000, just below 3,000 to 22.80 as we speak. And the companies are producing, like if you look at Agnico Eagle, which is always my go-to, they're producing at about 600 Canadian. So the earnings are there. Kirkland Lake, just over the last 3 weeks, has bought more than 10 million of its own shares with actual cash flow. So to me, this is great, because they are doing what they've done for 4,000 years, which is increase as systemic risk is rising. And that is the benefit that I've always said, that these are the best assets for uncertain times, and they're proven correct, even though the share price isn't there yet. And I think it's a benefit to be acquiring these. For the overall market, well, the big issue to me is the debt that we have in the system, right? The real tragedy is that central banks have spent all of the money trying to maintain this system going, but now we have a massively big debt system that requires cash flow. And what we have now is the ultimate black swan, because cash flow is shutting down globally. Student debt in the U.S., oil debt, because of oil prices, you have mortgages are shutting down. How long can a debt-based system last without cash flow? That's the key issue. Look, central banks, we're up to the Fed is up to $5 trillion now. That completely reversed overnight. The Bank of Canada, we're all increasing deficits, but it's to maintain a debt system going. How long will it last? We don't know how long this shutdown is going to continue. Because of that, I would rather stay cautious and watch and see what happens in terms of the global slowdown, as this problem still filtering through society, and we still shut down. I never thought we were going to be doing what we're doing on a global basis right now.